So it should be recording sound now. Sometimes it takes a while for my camera to kick in. So, I am going to talk about magic again, as I do in many of my videos. And I would like to just say that don't misrepresent magic or misunderstand magic. That's the entire purpose of this particular video. Now, what do I mean by don't misrepresent magic, or, don't misunderstand it or misinterpret it, blah, 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 blah. Well, essentially, what I'm talking about, yeah, you like my nice stone pile? Dum-dum, had to tear down my wall. Anyway, so, yeah, you like my hat? It's cool, it's a gift. I like my hat. It's called a coolie hat. So, when I say don't misrepresent magic, what I'm talking about is the fact that a lot of people don't know what magic is or don't believe it's real. So, if you think magic is not real, I would like to say you're full of shit. And the reason I say that is just because you do not understand what something is doesn't make it not real. Just because you're not familiar with the terms that other people use doesn't make them fictitious. And magic is one of those things that has been blown out of proportion by movies and video games and books for years and years and years. So, when I'm talking, I was going to put down my camera somewhere instead of doing all these weird angles. Yeah, it's a pretty cool angle. Whoa. So, when you're talking about magic, people are like thinking, real dramatic fireballs from the hands and flying and all that kind of stuff. And they don't think about what magic is because they've either never heard of definition, or they're already taught from a young age to not buy into it. What magic is you'll often hear different definitions. Even DC Comics, yes, a comic book, actually had a pretty decent definition. They said that science was a way of talking about the universe, and magic was a way of talking to the universe in a way it can't ignore. That's a pretty decent definition. One of my personal favorites is to create change through the use of will. Some people say the art and science of creating change through the use of will. Essentially, what magic is, as far as the practice of magic, is using your will to create any form of change. Whether it's a physical or subtle change, it is still magic. Then there's, of course, the art of interacting with things as well. So a lot of your sciences, you often hear the term, or turn of phrase, should I say, not term, the turn of phrase that yesterday's magic is today's science. Well, what do they mean by that? Well, that's just like it says. All the sciences that we have today are ancient magic that has been put into categories and tested and studied in a lab. There's a lot of them that have not been. Take psychic skills, for example. Psychic skills a lot of people do not buy, just due to the fact that the research is not there to necessarily support all the evidence to make it a really well-respected science. If you look at physics, even some of the things of physics, theories of physics, or string theory, a lot of different things in, the physics world is still to this day not necessarily supported, and they think it's bullshit. Metaphysics is usually what is considered the study that has to do with spiritual, magical energies, and this is where a lot of people start throwing out the bullshit, and their bullshit meter goes nuts. When I say don't misrepresent magic, like is going to be the title of this video, and perhaps I'm a little hard to take seriously with my hat, but I like my hat. Look, it keeps me shaded and everything else, and it's a very nice hat, and it was a gift to me, and I love coolie hats. So take me seriously even with my unusual hat. When I'm talking about magic, I'm talking about this direction of will. So let's take some examples that seem like everyday stuff that is magic. Let's say you are not feeling well and you need to get through something. So your body wants to shut down, collapse, go to the restroom, pass out, or vomit. And you focus your mind on not getting sick and to last and to get through it and you get home. That is magic. Willpower is magic. Now, also, other things that are considered magic is when you create, you are manifesting what you envision in your mind and crafting that, drawing that, sculpting that, singing that, writing that, whatever the case may be, that is magic. Then, of course, you have your spiritual magics, which a lot of people say, once again, is bullshit when you start affecting weather, whether that be, you know, pulling out a certain influence during the week, it's supposed to rain, and it doesn't rain. Now, a lot of this stuff is where you can start saying bullshit, and the reason I say that is because there's not necessarily the evidence that is supportive for someone who thinks more along the lines of a scientific way of looking at the universe. But once again, understand that everything in science is only true once it's proven, until it is proven wrong. There has been a lot of theories in science, and the only way for a theory to become a fact is for it to be tested and proven, that have been unproven, and thus are no longer facts. There's a lot of things like that in science. You know, for example, the world being flat. They were 100% certain it was flat. You look, it looks flat. You know, you look straight. They weren't looking at the bigger picture. So by looking outside of the box and looking at the bigger picture, you might actually realize that a lot of these things and theories and practices are in fact reality. Now, you know, there's other forms of magic too. You know, using your breath and moving it through your body and focusing your mind on one spot in your body. Now, even right now, for those of you who are interested and that are not already like, psh, or turning it off, or, oh, this is bullshit, look at the idiot. If you think about the tip of your finger and put all of your intent there to the tip of your finger and breathe, eventually you'll start feeling a sensation in your finger. Some people will call this a fullness. Some people will call this a heat or vibration. That right there is your magical energy. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, it's not magic, it's just, you know, imagining things. Well, that's what makes magic happen, is imagining things and putting your intent and will there. Let me put it on other terms for you that are stuck on the whole science thing. You ever hear of brainwaves? Well, do you think brainwaves stop? Do you think that when you have a thought, it stops right there at your head and never exits out? It does exit out. It sends vibrations. When something vibrates, it moves things around it. You know, I mean, it's like a glass of water sitting on a table and some big truck comes by and it vibrates the water inside the cup. Those vibrations move. So when we have thoughts and emotions and our hormones or biochemical energies inside of our body that are moving and the synapses are firing off, yeah, that's right, synapses in your brain, electric energy, the little electric synapses firing off, you know, this creates energy. Energy is going to create heat. That's what the aura is. Your aura is you having these different emotions and stuff, and it's radiating out from your body. You know, these things are going to go out into the room. You know, let me give you another example. You ever walk into a room and feel like you are not welcome in that room? Like you know that you're just not supposed to be there, that people don't want you there, or vice versa, feel like you're welcome, wanted, and appreciated? This is you picking up with your magical senses, your psychic senses. Magic is not necessarily throwing fireballs from your hand or flying or lightning like they do in games and movies and books. If that stuff is possible, I've never seen it, nor have I seen any evidence of it. So if you can do it, more power to you. But most people can't do that kind of stuff. They can do other stuff, such as using their willpower to get through the day, such as fighting an illness or healing yourself, you know, laughter, having a positive mindset. The way that you think is actually going to alter things. There's a really cool study. You should check it out. I want to say it's it's here on YouTube, but you can like search and look up this Japanese study about how emotions affect water. And basically each one of these water bottles was held by a different individual who had different thoughts and different personalities, and it was the exact same water from the exact same source, and when they froze the crystals based upon what was thought or meditated or projected in energy-wise into that water, caused the crystals to freeze in different forms. We're mostly water, so these things are going to affect us. This is what magic is. It's the subtle energies of the world. It's there. The vibrational quantity of all life has the ability to be influenced by other vibrations, i.e. thoughts and willpower. So, hopefully this has been enlightening for some of you, has been mind-opening for some of you. Other ones of you are going to write me off as psychotic, which is fine. You don't have to believe everything I believe. But I just thought I would at least share my interpretation, or at least some of the basic guidelines of my interpretation of magic and spirituality. So, hi, squirrels running through the trees, and I was wondering where they were going and what they were doing. It's kind of entertaining. So, this is BlazeLeeDragon and my interpretation of magic and my really cool Cooley hat, which was given to me once again by a friend. So, Let me think if I can think of anything else while I give you a nice little beard shot as I walk back to my house. That's my new fence. Very nice. Still working on it. So, yeah. So that's essentially the idea behind magic and using... Well, oh, that's right. I was going to say another example of using magic that people don't really necessarily think of or consider to be magic. And I, of course, since I lost my train of thought, it's like, oh no, what was it now? And I'm trying to remember. So, bear with me a few more seconds, minutes, or whatever. So, with magic... Oh, yeah, that's right. So if you're intimidating someone, or you're trying to calm someone down, and they feel calm just in that person's presence, what is it about that person's presence that makes them calm or anxious, or upset or scared? The person's projecting that with their magic. You radiate what you are thinking and feeling. It's like the air around you right now. You have air touching your skin. It is weighing on you. Can you feel it? Those of you who are used to subtle energies and working with magical vibrations will tell me yes. Those of you who are not will say no. But you can feel it on your skin if you learn how to pay attention to the subtle vibrations that are there all the time. We learn to ignore these over time due to adults and people telling us that it's bullshit. So, those of you who think magic is not real, I tell you bullshit. It's because you do not necessarily understand what magic is. I'm giving you my definition. You can call it bullshit, you can accept it and embrace it, you can experiment with it, or you can just turn off the video 5 or 7 or 8 minutes ago, or whatever it was. So, yes, hopefully you got something out of this. This is BlazeLeeDragon, and just a little bit more insight onto magic.